No one saw this coming. While the world's richest leaders hoard wealth for themselves, Ibrahim Traoré just stunned the world by announcing the construction of 50,000 houses. Not for profit, not for politics, but to give away free to the people of Burkina Faso. The sun had just risen over Ouagadougou when an announcement shook the nation. In the heart of the capital, thousands gathered, unsure of what they were about to hear from their young leader. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, dressed in his simple uniform, stepped onto the podium with the Burkinabe flag fluttering behind him. His voice was steady, but the words that followed carried the weight of history. "We will build 50,000 houses for the people of Burkina Faso, free of charge." For a moment, silence gripped the crowd, as if no one could believe what they had just heard. Then, an eruption of cheers and tears filled the air, echoing through the streets. Mothers clasped their children, fathers lifted their hands to the sky, and elders whispered prayers of gratitude. For decades, many families had lived in fragile mud huts, under leaking roofs that collapsed in storms, or in overcrowded shelters shared between generations. The idea of owning a home, a real home with walls of strength and a roof that could withstand time, felt like an impossible dream. Yet here was a leader promising to make it reality. Traoré spoke not with the polished words of politicians, but with the sincerity of someone who knew the struggles of his people. He reminded them that a house was more than bricks and cement. It was dignity, security, and the foundation of a better future. The crowd roared with chants of his name, their voices carrying across the capital and into villages far beyond. Radio stations scrambled to broadcast the speech live, while markets buzzed with disbelief and hope. That morning, Burkina Faso was transformed. It was not just a promise of shelter, but a promise of a new beginning. And for the first time in years, the people believed that tomorrow could truly be brighter. The announcement spread like wildfire, racing from the capital into the smallest villages, carried by radios, phone calls, and word of mouth. In the north, where families had long lived in huts made of straw and mud, farmers paused their work to celebrate. In the south, children returned from school to find their parents speaking with joy they had not felt in years. Markets across the country buzzed with one topic only: Traoré's plan to build 50,000 homes for the people, not for the elites, not for the rich, but for ordinary citizens who had been forgotten for too long. Construction workers, masons, and carpenters stepped forward, ready to give their hands to the project. Young men and women in universities volunteered to assist with planning, design, and logistics. Even those who had nothing to give pledged their time to carry water, cook meals for laborers, or simply spread the spirit of unity. Traoré had awakened something powerful, a national determination to build not only houses but a new vision of dignity and hope. Yet behind the celebration, whispers of doubt still lingered. Could a poor nation with limited resources truly achieve such a massive undertaking? International critics scoffed, calling it unrealistic, branding it a populist dream. But inside Burkina Faso, the people refused to be shaken. "We will build with our hands if we must," an old man in Bobo Dioulasso declared, his voice cracking with age but burning with pride. Across the border, neighboring countries watched closely, some inspired, others unsettled, fearing that this kind of promise could ignite demands from their own people. For Burkina Faso, though, the moment was clear. The project was not just about homes. It was about reclaiming dignity, proving to the world that Africa could rise on its own terms, brick by brick, house by house. As the first foundations were laid, the entire nation seemed to transform into one giant construction site, filled with energy and determination. From Ouagadougou to the remotest villages, the sound of hammers, shovels, and voices blended into a rhythm of unity. Soldiers who once guarded borders now picked up bricks, working shoulder to shoulder with civilians, proving that service to the nation was not only about holding weapons, but about building futures. Women, often left out of such projects, organized food stations, and even took part in masonry, learning skills they proudly passed to their daughters. Traoré himself visited the sites frequently, his boots covered in dust, shaking hands with workers and reminding them that every brick laid was a step toward a stronger Burkina Faso. The houses were not plain shelters. They were designed with thought and care. Solar panels for energy, water collection systems for drought-prone areas, and community gardens to ensure food security. Children ran around the half-built homes, their laughter filling the air, dreaming of the day they would sleep under solid roofs for the first time in their lives. Critics who had doubted the project now grew silent as images of rising homes flooded social media, inspiring hope across Africa. But with progress came new challenges: shortages of cement and timber, sudden rises in material costs, and rumors that foreign powers were quietly pressuring suppliers to cut off resources. Instead of retreating, the people responded with resilience. Local engineers innovated, creating eco-bricks from clay and recycled materials, while farmers donated land for gathering stone and sand. What began as a government plan had now turned into a people's movement, proving that when united, Burkina Faso could not be stopped. The dream of 50,000 homes was no longer just Traoré's. It belonged to the entire nation. As the houses began to take shape across the nation, the world's attention shifted to Burkina Faso in disbelief. International media crews arrived to capture what they called a miracle in motion, showing thousands of new homes rising from the red earth at a pace no one thought possible. In Paris, Washington, and London, analysts try to understand how a country once written off as poor and unstable could suddenly achieve what richer nations struggled to do: provide dignified housing for its people. Neighboring African leaders sent delegations to witness the progress, some leaving inspired, others quietly unsettled, knowing their own citizens would now question why similar change wasn't happening in their countries. Meanwhile, in Burkina Faso, pride swelled to levels unseen in decades. Families who had lived in crumbling mud huts now watched walls rise that promised safety from rain, heat, and fear. Elderly men and women, many of whom had survived years of hardship, wept openly as they touched the bricks, saying they never thought they would see such change in their lifetime. Yet the project was more than just construction. It was a statement to the world that Africa could stand on its own, create solutions without waiting for foreign aid, and prove that unity could turn dreams into reality. Traoré stood firm against foreign pressures, refusing offers of loans that came with hidden conditions, declaring that this was a Burkinabe project for the Burkinabe people. Across Africa, young people rallied around his vision, calling it the people's revolution of bricks and hope. What was once mocked as an impossible promise had now become a symbol of strength. But as the 50,000 homes neared completion, whispers of sabotage and jealousy grew louder, hinting that those who feared Africa's awakening would soon try to strike back. The day of inauguration arrived, and the capital of Ouagadougou overflowed with people who came from every corner of Burkina Faso to witness history. Streets were lined with drums, flags, and songs of unity as thousands marched toward the newly built neighborhoods that now stood proudly on the horizon. The 50,000 houses were more than structures. They were monuments to resilience, to the courage of a people who refused to kneel before poverty or foreign masters. Standing on a stage before the vast crowd, Traoré raised his hand, not as a ruler above his people, but as one of them, a son of the soil who had simply kept his promise. His voice carried through the air with calm strength. These homes belong to you, the people. They're not a gift from a government, but the fruit of your own struggle and sacrifice. May no Burkinabe child sleep without shelter again. The crowd erupted, chanting his name alongside the name of their nation, their voices echoing far beyond the city. Cameras broadcast the moment worldwide, and while some global powers gritted their teeth, unable to accept that such progress had been achieved without their involvement, millions of ordinary people from across Africa and beyond celebrated in awe. Yet Traoré knew this was only the beginning. Building houses had built hope, but it had also drawn attention from those who profited off Africa's suffering. As night fell, the neighborhoods glowed with lights from their new homes, laughter and songs rising into the stars. It was a night when every Burkinabe family felt they had stepped into a new chapter of dignity. For the first time in generations, Hope was no longer just a word. It had walls, windows, and doors. And it was only the foundation of something far greater still to come. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and share to spread the hope. Subscribe now to Faso Histories for more inspiring stories of Africa's struggle, pride, and victory.